Hi fellow artists, my name is Lauren. I am the artist behind Potato Art Studios, and in today's video we'll be testing out the SpectraFix Fixative Concentrate. So if you're interested in my thoughts about this product and some actual testing that I'll be doing during this video, just keep on watching. If you'd like to skip ahead to certain parts of this video, I will have timestamps linked down in the description box, of course. But we're going to get right into it. So if you are not familiar with fixative, it's basically something that you use to spray over your drawing. Typically it's used for spraying over pastel drawing, and a fixative is supposed to basically help your powdery pastel adhere better to the surface so that it is less likely to smudge or smear over time. And especially during handling, most people like to have some sort of fixative layer on their artwork so that when the person framing the artwork is handling it, there aren't going to be accidents that will happen to the artwork. So the reason why I chose SpectraFix is because I had watched a fixative review video by Jason Morgan, and it's a very excellent and thorough review of 3 different fixative brands, and I'll link his video up in the cards and also down below so you can definitely check him out. But in his video results he found that SpectraFix, the spray bottle so this is the concentrate that I have right here, but he had a premixed bottle that he used, and that ended up being the fixative that had the best results. And I was looking into potentially buying SpectraFix, so I bought a lot of art supplies from Blick in the past, and Blick had this SpectraFix Fixative Concentrate, and I was curious because what was the difference. And basically, turn the bottle for you. So when you buy this concentrate bottle, you're mixing 1/2 ounce of this concentrate with 4 ounces of a colorless alcohol. And they say you can use Everclear. I don't have Everclear or vodka in my household, so I just had some First Aid 91% alcohol on hand. So there weren't really a lot of video reviews or reviews at all about this product, so we're going to be testing this concentrate today. I mentioned that the SpectraFix requires a alcohol of some kind, so I have 91% isopropyl alcohol, and I didn't really have a way to measure the liquid I was pouring into my mixing bottle, so what I did is just weigh it. So I'll have a picture on the screen here where all I did was tare the weight of the bottle I had, added 5 grams of the SpectraFix Fixative Concentrate, and then added 40 grams of the isopropyl alcohol, since I assumed that the weights of the liquids would be pretty similar. I only mixed a small amount, so 45 grams of the liquid combined only fills up this bottle about an inch off the base of the bottle, so it's not a lot because I wanted to experiment with this. The bottle I chose to get was the Delta Artist Ultra Fine Mist Water Sprayer, and this was recommended on Blick's website. Someone had commented that they used the SpectraFix Concentrate and this bottle together, and that ended up being a good combination, so I believe this bottle was fairly expensive. I will leave this specific sprayer in the description box if you'd like to check it out as well. But as you can see, when you add the concentrate, it turns the alcohol a little bit cloudy. So the concentrate has a milk protein called casein, I believe that's how you pronounce it, and that milk protein has been used for a very long time. I believe it's over 100 years. Artists have been using milk basically to preserve some of their artwork. So I figured if it's good enough for them, it's probably good enough for me. So let me show you the setup we're going to do. So on this board, this is just a gray toned piece of pastel mat, and I just have 3 different colors to show you what's going to happen if you try it out on basically a couple different color options and how the colors will change. So what we're going to do is block off part of the pastel swatch that I have, spray 1 layer on this segment, cover a little bit more, spray another layer, cover it a little bit more, and this last inch or so will have 3 layers of the SpectraFix spray on it, and so we can see a clear difference from how, if the colors do change, how they change from no fixative through 1, 2, and 3 layers. And this is basically how Jason Morgan set up his testing. So because it's very difficult for me to spray and hold the camera and make sure everything is in focus, I am going to do these sprays off camera and then just show you what it looks like after each layer dries. I just sprayed the first layer of fixative on this segment here, so this area has no fixative and these 3 sections do have the first layer of fixative. One thing I noticed from the spray bottle is that you do need to have it primed a little bit, so I would advise spraying a couple times just off to the side. But there is no really distinctive odor that you would usually have with your typical aerosol fixatives. So the strongest scent I smell right now is just the smell of the isopropyl alcohol. And to speed up the drying process, I'm just going to use a hairdryer, and then we'll come back and look at the results of the first layer. I just ran over the sprayed area with my hairdryer for about a few minutes, and you can see that there is a color shift between the unsprayed area and the sprayed area. So this is dried, by the way, so it actually changes the paper color and the pastel just a little bit. So I'm going to run my fingers on each of the swatches just to show you how the first layer of fixative has held up. So this is the top layer, and there's not really any transfer. The second, and let's try the third. It's a very small amount. So the 1 layer seems to be very good at just adhering the pastel to the paper. You can see, if I zoom in really close, that the colors have definitely changed just a bit. And it kind of looks like for this blue here that the blue has actually dissolved, or what it looks like dissolved a little bit into the paper itself. And same thing with the yellow, and not as much with the red. We're going to repeat the same process with layer 2 and layer 3. So I just sprayed layer 2, and you can see that the paper color actually doesn't look much different from the first layer sprayed. So the change between layer 1 and layer 2, you can see that I think the results are most dramatic with the yellow and the blue, but when you add 2 layers, the patchiness in the pastel is a little bit more apparent. It is most apparent in the blue, where you see that whole middle area of the blue pastel kind of has been not eaten away, but it has basically dissolved with the paper, so that it's not that solid blue anymore. If you're looking for that kind of interesting textured effect, maybe that is something that you can explore, is by using layers or controlled layers of this fixative, and you can get a very interesting effect. But the burnt orange color I have on the top, there isn't much of a difference. It looks just like how it did with the first layer. So we're going to do the third layer and then come back. the third layer of the fixative has dried, and you can see that there is a definite shift where the pastel looks like it's kind of dissolving into the pastel mat I have here. And the fixative does do its job, so again I'm gonna, my hands, or this finger is stained, but I'm gonna swatch with the 3 fingers. So there's basically no lift off even after the first layer fixative, and this is unsprayed, and you can see you pick up basically quite a bit. So swatching the blue, 3 layers, nothing, 2 layers, nothing, 1 layer, basically nothing, and unsprayed. You can see it picks up. And yellow, 3 layers, nothing, 2 layers, nothing, 1 layer, a little bit picks up, and again, if no spray, a lot picks up. So I would say if you are working with pastels on pastel mat, because this example is with pastel mat, and I'm not sure how it would interact with other papers like sanded papers or velour paper, I would say you only need to use 1 layer for most cases, and you can see that there is a pretty big shift from using no fixative at all to 1 layer of fixative. So I would recommend that if you were doing a preliminary color layer on your background and you'd like to set it before you go over it again with maybe brighter or very vibrant colors, you can use 1 layer of this SpectraFix Fixative Concentrate, and 1 layer will do the trick. In most cases, as you saw, there was almost no transfer with the red and the blue, and just very slight transfer with the yellow. Because if you do more and more layers, you can see that the pastel basically starts changing as you have more and more liquid onto it. And so I used the 91% isopropyl alcohol for my experiment. If you were to use vodka, I'm not sure how the colors would really change, if that would make a significant difference. But you can see basically the paper color changed at the 1 layer mark and actually didn't get any darker after that. And the colors themselves darken after 1 layer, but after 1 layer, any additional layers don't really significantly darken the pastel. It just starts changing the way the texture of the pastel looks on the pastel matte paper. So 1 layer is probably more than adequate, and if you do choose to put additional layers, know that your pastel might start changing in ways that you may or may not want. So I'm going to have a picture of a side-by-side of my untreated pastel swatches compared to this final pastel experiment, so you can see how the colors have changed. And again, I'll list all of the materials I used down below in the description box. None of the links will be affiliated, they are just direct links to where you can purchase these items at blick.com. I will be using the fixative in 1 layer on a current drawing I have, so I will also have side-by-side pictures of that so you can see how the colors had changed. But I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I will link a playlist of a couple of other video playlists I have about art tips and art tutorials if you'd like to check them out. If you'd like to see what I'm currently working on, I'll have links to my social media handles and you can check out what's on my drawing board right now. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in my next video.